Wow, it has already been 6 months since the Galaxy S24 Ultra came out. It feels like it was yesterday. We were comparing it to the iPhone 15 Pros and 15 Pro Max. We were comparing it to the normal S24, but it's already been 6 months, and I've had a very long and good overall experience with the S24 Ultra. That's why I want to make this video, so I can give you a proper experience-based video, no BS kind of, video where I'm not going to read you the specs of the phone and tell you what it is and what it does, because you probably already know what it is, right? I'm going to give you my personal experience, telling you the things that I've liked, the things that I didn't like, just based on, as I said, my usage with the phone. Because even though it's not my personal phone right now, I've had it and I've used it as my personal phone during some parts of these last 6 months. As always, I want to start by talking about the exterior design, which, as you can see, is the classic Ultra/Note look we've had for the past, I think, 8 years now. And well, you can love it, you can hate it, but it's undeniable that it is iconic with those sharp corners, with that boxy look and design, and well, for the past 3 years with the same back overall look. We have the same camera arrangement as we had with the S23 and S22 Ultra. We have the same shape and size as with those other two phones, the same matte glass. The only thing that's changed is that with the newer S24 Ultra, now we have a titanium frame instead of, I think it was stainless steel on those other phones. And it is also slightly flatter. It is something very subtle because it's not completely flat like on the S24, but it doesn't have that dramatic of a curve on the sides. So it's going to be different. I don't feel confident saying it's better or worse than the other two phones. In my personal opinion, I think it's better. It holds better in the hand. It's more grippy and more ergonomic, but that's my personal preference. You may think the curvier sides were better on the older phones. What I can tell you though is that it is more comfortable than both the S24 and S24 Plus. They have very flat edges, those other normal phones, and they do feel a little bit less comfortable, less ergonomic in the hand, but I'm assuming most of you interested on the S24 Ultra are not really considering those other phones because they're smaller and they don't have the, sort of flagship phone vibes that this phone gives you. And of course, we also have the S Pen, which comes from the Note lineup. A lot of people wanted it on the Ultra phone, so Samsung decided to include it too. We also have this button. I don't think this was a thing before, but it gives us, functionalities. Like in this case, if we double tap it, we can see. Wait a minute. There it is. Oh my God! What? That's crazy. I didn't know this. I just found out. If you long press the button on the S Pen, it loads the camera. I think you can probably customize this to open any app you want, but that's very interesting. Of course, we also have quick notes, so you can write something down very easily. If we lock the phone, I think it allows you to, let me see. Nope, doesn't seem like it's working. It should allow me to make it like a quick note. I tried it earlier. If you take the S Pen out from the lock screen, nope, it doesn't seem to be working, but it did work before. I'm not sure why it's not working. It allowed me to make a quick note in the lock screen without having to access the phone. But anyways, can I hide this somehow, please? Can I do something about this? Samsung, please. You're embarrassing me in front of everybody. I'm saying you're a good phone, but you're not letting me move this note. Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. Anyways, the S Pen, you love it or you don't like it. I don't think anybody would hate it because if you don't want to use it, you don't use it. It's just added functionality. When it comes to the internal components, we have the best of the best. We have 12 gigabytes of RAM and we have the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3. So the best of the best. Of course, every single app is going to not only work fast and fluid, but it's going to remain loaded up in the background because we have, as I said, 12 gigabytes of RAM. So it's very easy for apps to stay open and not have to reload every time you want to use them, which is very, very convenient because, at the end of the day, it's not only about the experience when it comes to using the app, but it's also about the speed, not losing time reloading things all the time. As you can see, I guess if you have 20 apps open, at some point, some of those apps are going to have to close. But if you're a casual user and you use your typical games and apps, the phone is just going to fly through. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that these games that are very casual and that are meant to be played in pretty much every phone are going to work like butter on the best Android phone in the market right now. I mean, they work amazingly well. There's no bugs, no hiccups. They open instantaneously. And it's funny because some of these games are not properly optimized. And it's something you can only notice on like low-end phones, because since they are not very well optimized, if the phone doesn't have leftover resources, the game becomes, a little buggy, a little laggy. But on the S24 Ultra, there's so much leftover power that even if the game is not working properly or it's not optimized, the phone kind of makes up for that lack of optimization with raw power. 12 gigabytes of RAM, one of the best processors for any phone. It just makes anything work, even if it's not meant to work on the phone. But what about more demanding games like Call of Duty Warzone or Genshin Impact? Well, in this case, things get a little bit more interesting. And I've said that the phone is great. I've only praised it during the video, but I'm about to give you the only one flaw that I'm actually a little concerned about with the S24 Ultra, and it's that if you play a demanding game like this, like Genshin Impact, for a long time, meaning 10, 15, 20 minutes at high settings, like you max out the phone so you can get a good experience, the phone is going to heat up. And people said this about the iPhone when it came out, the iPhone 15 Pros, and I didn't really experience this, or at least to the same extent as I have with the S24 Ultra, which people don't seem to be concerned about the temperatures. Maybe it's an issue with my unit. I guess I've come to conclude, because if nobody else is talking about it and I've constantly experienced these overheating issues, it might be an issue with my unit. So I encourage you to see other people's reviews and see if anybody else has encountered high temperatures with the S24 Ultra. But in my personal case, anytime that I do something demanding, not only playing games, like if I want to export a 4K video with CapCut or something like that, the phone is not afraid of reaching like uncomfortable temperatures like 45 degrees Celsius, maybe sometimes reaching 50, which is kind of like starts getting uncomfortable in the hand. You feel like you want to drop it and let it cool. But anyways, as I said, it might be an issue with my personal unit because I have not seen a lot of people talk about it. I'm just giving you my personal experience, and if I have experienced high temperatures with the S24 Ultra, I'm telling you. When it comes to the software, we have One UI 6.1 and Android 14, which are the latest available versions of the OS. I think Samsung's working on One UI 7. Android 15 has just been unveiled by Google, but none of those are available right now. So if you buy the phone right now and you just want to use the latest available non-beta version of the OS, this is what you're going to get. And let me tell you, it is very, very good, very stable, very snappy, very well optimized. It doesn't, give you hiccups or lags or anything like that. No bugs. It works amazingly well. And I was surprised because this was not always the case. Back in the day, I remember having an iPhone as opposed to a Samsung phone meant a lot more optimization, a lot more fluidity, mainly because Samsung's layer of Android, which is called One UI, wasn't always the snappiest, wasn't always the best. And I was very surprised when I got the S24 Ultra because I just through past 10 years maybe not having the best experience with Samsung's Android, I just came to expect a lot worse of an experience that I ended up getting. And this is not because it's a new phone, because as I said, this is a 6 months later video. I've had it for 6 months. I've installed a ton of apps, done a ton of things, and I've given the phone enough time to sort of like start slowing down, which is what usually happened. After a couple months, the phone started to feel very, very laggy and buggy, but it's not the case. And it's the case with every phone that has been able to update to the latest One UI versions, like One UI 5, One UI 6, even the older S21, S22, which I've been trying recently. They work amazing. So it's clearly an improvement in the optimization by Samsung to their OS, combined with all of the new AI features we get on the S24 Ultra and on the S24, like circle to search. We can circle anything on the screen and It will tell you what it is and where to buy it if it's something you can buy. You can also edit images on the editor. Like, look, if I want to delete my dog for some reason, I don't want to delete my dog from the image. I love my dog, but imagine I wanted to do it. I can just circle around my dog. It's going to understand I want to focus on the dog. I can tap it. I can erase my dog, generate a new image without him, and in a couple seconds of editing and AI tweaking, the phone is going to give you an image without my dog. And it's not going to look, you're going to see it now. It's not going to look perfect. Sometimes it does things like this. It just added a plant for some reason. It looks a little weird, but it understood that I wanted to delete my dog. It deleted my dog, and it added something else. I guess because the empty space didn't look as realistic as it wanted, so it just added a plant so it looked better. I don't know. It's funny. It's AI. It always gets better. So yeah, in a couple of months, it's going to do a better job than it did right now. And in a year, it's going to do a much better job. So it's one of those beautiful things about AI that once it's enabled on the phone, it's kind of like it's constantly updating. It's constantly improving without you necessarily having to buy a new phone or update the phone. It's going to become better every single day. That's one of the beautiful things about AI. And with the S24 and S24 Ultra, we get all the features from Samsung's AI, which is kind of Google's AI with a couple tweaks, by the way. When it comes to the battery life, there's not a lot to say because it's one of the best phones on the planet when it comes to battery life. I've compared it to the 15 Pro Max. I don't have it here, so I'm going to show you the 15 Pro. But as I found out on my review, and as you probably did on other people's reviews, they are almost identical. And that's great because that means whatever brand you want to get, whatever phone you choose to buy, you're going to get the best experience when it comes to battery life. The only bad news is that it feels like it's not going to change much in the next couple of years because we've reached a point where the optimization companies have done to batteries and operative systems to make the most out of it has kind of like reached a peak where there's not much else to be done. The only thing you can do now is just to physically make a bigger phone. That's why nowadays, usually the 6.1 compact phones, 6.1 inch compact phones have about the same battery life. The bigger 6.7, 6.8 inch phones have about the same battery life. It's because nowadays the biggest factor when it comes to battery life is just the physical size of the phone. The bigger the phone, the bigger the battery, the longer duration. All of this comes to say that if you want a very good battery life, you will get it on the S24 Ultra, and only if you are willing to get an even bigger phone, even less ergonomic, you will find a better battery life. The only disappointment I had with it is that there were rumors back in 2023 that Samsung was going to include some version of MagSafe with their newer phones. I think it's called QI Charge 2.0 or something like that. And they ended up not doing it, I think because of a lack of time. That was very disappointing because one of my favorite features on the iPhones is the MagSafe connectivity, being able to connect it to a dock on your car without having to, use any dongles or cases or, weird mechanical attachments or anything like that. You just slap it in the MagSafe dock, or you want to charge it. You don't have to be, adjusting it to the coil so it doesn't overheat. It's very simple, automatic, easy. And I was very hopeful that the S24 was going to have that, and it ended up not having it. I think next year's S25 Ultra is going to have that new mechanism, and I couldn't be happier because it's amazing. If you've never tried a MagSafe or magnetic connectivity, dude, like you're missing out. It's awesome. But anyways, probably one of the best, most exciting features on the S24 Ultra is the display. This is a beast of a display. We have 2600 nits of brightness, 1440p resolution, 120 Hz LTPO panel, and of course the latest technologies when it comes to colors, contrast, whatever, the best panels in the industry. As many of you know, Samsung is the one responsible to make the panels on pretty much every phone you can buy right now. Even the iPhones have Samsung panels on them. And by the way, something even better, Samsung has, and this is amazing, they have included an anti-reflective layer on the S24 Ultra that's surprisingly effective. I'm going to show you in comparison to the to the iPhone 15 Pro, how strong it is. If we point it at a light source, it is incredibly efficient at reducing that light reflection without affecting the quality of the panel and the viewing angles at all. And that's amazing because funny enough, Apple has been going crazy trying to get anti-reflective technologies on their devices, charging you $500 for the anti-reflective coating on the iPads and on the Macs. And it has never really been that useful. People that have tried anti-reflective technology on Apple products have said that, sure, it kind of like scatters the light a little bit, makes it a little bit more soft, but it doesn't really fix the issue. And out of the blue, Samsung has come with probably the best anti-reflective technology that I have ever seen in my life, because it, as I said, it doesn't affect the glossiness of the display, it doesn't affect the viewing angles, it doesn't affect the visuals of the phone. It looks exactly the same as if it didn't have that anti-reflective coating, but it's very effective. I mean, sure, you can still see reflections on the phone, but it's way less, like way less than you would have on like a Samsung Galaxy S24. Look, it's the same phone, same brand. The only difference is that it doesn't have that anti-reflective coating, and as you can see, it's way more like shiny and contrasty as opposed to the S24 Ultra. This is one of those things. Maybe it's not the most useful because, you know, most of the time I use the phone either on a shadowed area or indoors, so I don't really care. I don't really care about the anti-reflective coating most of the time. But it's one of those things where it's like, damn, like what is Apple? Like Apple, one of the companies with most resources, has not been able to pull this off, and Samsung just out of the blue came in, did it, and did a way better job and did it for free. Love you, Samsung, for this. Damn, this is one of those things that made me like this phone and be excited about buying the phone. The fact that feeling like Samsung gave me the $1,400 worth of a phone for $1,400, which is something I don't always feel when buying iPhones. But anyways, I'm sorry for yapping for 5 minutes about an anti-reflective coating. Let's move on to the cameras. As you can see, we have the same camera layout we had in the S22 Ultra and S23 Ultra, but we have some very interesting improvements. We have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera. We have a 200 megapixel main sensor, which may seem like a marketing gimmick, but you'll see now it's not a marketing gimmick. And we have a 5x, I think, telephoto with 50 megapixels. Those are the main cameras. Of course, we have the typical depth sensor and the 3x telephoto that's smaller and worse, and I'm not really sure people are going to use, but it's there. As I said, probably the most exciting thing about the S24 Ultra, in my opinion, and having tried the cameras for a while, I've taken a bunch of photos using every feature, every mode, at every time of day, nighttime, daytime, indoors, outdoors. To me, the most exciting feature on the S24 Ultra is the sharpness of the 200 megapixel sensor. And I know it feels like a gimmick when you say it, 200 megapixels. It's a marketing thing, but I just want to demo how sharp the 200 megapixel is. Look, this is a photo of my dog taken with the main sensor. You can't really distinguish any specific features on my dog, but what if I zoom in? What if I zoom in like, 200%? Now you can start seeing some of the hairs, his nose, his ears. What if I zoom in at 500%? Oh, now we can start seeing some detail on the eyes. We can start to see some details on the mouth. We can see the tongue. What if I zoom in? 1,000%? Well, wow. we can see individual details on the lower lip. We can see the individual teeth. We can see the lips. We can see the little crevices on his nose. We can see individual hairs. This is absolutely insane. Like, let me say it again. This is a 200 megapixel camera, and even though it may feel it's pretty fucking insane. Look, this is a normal photo. If I showed you this photo of his eye, you would think I took it. If I crop it in like this, the top and the bottom, you would think that's a 3x, 5x photo I took with no zoom. But it's a 700% zoom on a main camera photo. It's pretty insane. So I thought it was marketing at first. I always thought the multiple megapixel thing was a scam, so to say. It was not useful. But after seeing this photo and many other photos I've taken of stuff in my house, look, this. I could just read text I couldn't see in real life at this at this distance from the, what is this, the ventilation system. I could not read the little text on the warning text printed in there, and I can't actually read it zooming in. It's pretty remarkable what they've been able to do. And I know this is only applicable for daytime photos with the 200 megapixel mode enabled, but even then, when the conditions are right, being able to take a photo at any distance you want and then just cropping into your desired look without losing any detail whatsoever is pretty remarkable. Like, I don't want to repeat myself because I've already said it, but it's insane. Like, the amount of detail you can get on some of these photos, it just makes absolutely no sense. And if you add 4K video at 120 FPS, you add 8K video recording, you add, well, one of the best 5K, let me try to show you a picture of the 5K sensor if I have any. Don't remember. There we go. Look. This is the 5X telephoto camera, which even though it's not as good and as sharp as the main sensor, it's very, very good. We have a very good ultra wide camera. They all recorded 4K 60 FPS. I mean, a lot of people are gonna, fight me over this, but I think this year, both in photo and video, the S24 Ultra has better cameras than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Anyways, I'm sorry for the yapathon on both the anti-reflective coating and then the cameras, but those are genuinely the two things that I'm most excited about on the S24 Ultra. I'm gonna wrap the video up saying that for anybody looking to buy this phone, I 100% recommend it. The only reason why I would not buy the phone is if you want to use iOS, because in that case you're not going to enjoy this phone, because if you're used to iOS, you use iOS apps, there's a clear advantage having an iPhone because it has iOS. But if you don't care about the operating system, I would honestly go for the S24 Ultra. And if you are thinking about maybe getting the S24 because it's almost the same thing but it's cheaper, well, I cannot make the argument that this is a clearly better choice, because this is also a very, very good phone that for, I think, under $1,000 gives you 90% of the features on the S24 Ultra, including 8K video recording. It's amazing. But if you have the money and you want a flagship phone, I of course 1000% recommend the S24 Ultra. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm sorry for the yapathon, but I guess that was the whole point of the video. There's Amazon links for the S24 Ultra down below in the description with a nice discount, just in case you want to take a look or buy it. And I will see you all in the next video.